Well, the so-called sheriff of Albany is at it again, only this time he's shifting his crosshairs from the legislature straight to the governor's office. Now, Governor Cuomo's former executive deputy secretary and right-hand man, Joe Percoco, a man the governor has described as, and I'm quoting here, another Cuomo brother, end quote, was arrested this morning along with 7 others, all accused of lining their pockets in a connection with a program to boost upstate business. Now, Percoco, he is accused of taking more than $300 grand in bribes, that to boost the fortunes of 2 companies seeking to do business with the state. The group has been charged with bribery, extortion, bid rigging, and making false statements, as well as wire fraud, and more.
They made these payments, we allege, to be guaranteed to win those contracts. In other words, hundreds of thousands of dollars in bribes for hundreds of millions of dollars in state contracts. In each case, the bids were rigged and the results were preordained. Companies got rich and the public got bamboozled.
Well, to that end here, I want to get to the legal and where this case may go for in a second, but Dominic, for anyone who thinks, oh, Joe Percoco, a name of the administration, give an idea. I can't think of a recent elected who had a closer, long-term relationship with an aide that wasn't a lieutenant governor or anything like that than Cuomo and Percoco had.
You are 1,000% correct. 99.9% of the time, when you see Governor Cuomo, or if there's an important call made, an attempt to reach Governor Cuomo, it is going through Percoco first. They are longtime friends. Percoco has been with him through thick and thin. When Cuomo ran for governor against Carl McCall and took all that backlash about overstepping bounds and overstepping the black community, it was Percoco that was there at his side every step of the way.
Going back to his dad, right?
Going back to his dad. And Percoco obviously is not an advanced man, but he's a high-tech advanced man, because he's the one, let's be honest, he's the one that tries to keep the governor's temper in check at every event. Now,
Bill, these federal charges, we already know one of the people is going to be basically a cooperating witness with the feds. This is real money we're talking about here. They have emails. There's a thread. It looks like they've got these guys. If from the way the complaint looks, right?
Yeah, unlike the case with Shelley Silver, which was based pretty much on circumstantial evidence, this is a case where basically the cooperator is the fellow that was the go-between. He was the one that set this up. He was the one that acted as the go-between. He's the one that transferred the money. So it's really a unique case in the sense that the guy who puts all the dots together is cooperating with the government. Now, I know what they're going to come out. They're going to come out and try to attack him.
And that guy's name is Todd Howe.
Todd Howe, right. Yep. And he's already pled guilty to federal charges pursuant to a cooperation agreement. And clearly, when you enter into a cooperation agreement, there's a benefit. And the benefit at the end of the day is you're going to get a more lenient sentence. And so in this case, they have the cooperator. The cooperator was very close to Percoco. He had a good, close relationship to him. I think this presents a real tough case for Percoco's and his defense team, especially because this is not honest services fraud. I mean, this is a case where there is a quid pro quo. The quid pro quo is, you get me the contracts, I'll give you the money. There's nothing that's as clear as it can be in terms of what corruption is defined.
Percoco was not an elected official or anything else, so we don't have to go through that rigmarole. Could he be looking at real time here?
Percoco?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. With the United States Attorney in the Southern District, the Sheriff of Albany, I mean, they come into court and they basically are looking for heavy jail sentences for any of these officials that are convicted.
Does this feel like the kind of thing that they would look to turn and have Percoco roll on Cuomo?
Well, here's the question I posed, before we went on air, and that is, when did Howe begin cooperating? And if Howe was cooperating in the investigative phase, or maybe Howe's the guy who basically gave them the information to go after Percoco, then the question becomes, did he ever go in and have conversations with Percoco where he was wired? Are there any, that type of thing?
But to my reading, and it's clear when you read this, they reference, does Mr. Bahara, that Percoco was a third son for Mario Cuomo. I mean, it's written clearly that way, that this is not just, I'm looking at these 7 guys, 8 guys, and that's where it's going to stop. My point is, Clearly what Prococo was doing was he was attempting to enrich himself. He was underwater here. He couldn't make the mortgage. His wife couldn't find work. He leaned on 3 guys using idiotic terms like ZD and Herb. I mean, let's not reinforce stereotypes, guys, all right? And to try and talk about getting bribes and payments and stuff. But I don't see how this benefited Governor Cuomo at all.
Well,
No, and nor is it alleged in here. But my only point is, if he was going to be a cooperating witness and he was going to try and work out some deal, could it be for something that's not even being alleged in this thing and other dealings over 30 years of a relationship? Was there anything else that was untoward the governor had you do?
Absolutely. You know, one of the things as a prosecutor that you try to do is you try to persuade someone to cooperate with you. You know, and so the most powerful weapon to do that is a federal indictment where you can go to jail for substantial periods of time.
It will concentrate the mind, yeah.
Yeah, so basically what you do is you say to Prococo, look, you have an opportunity to help yourself here. We want to know what you know about the governor. If you have information that will allow us to make a case against the governor, then that'll operate to your benefit.
And we're already over time here, Scott, but first off, remind me, never make an enemy of Preet Bharara. Man, right?
Yeah.
But secondly, this clearly has a feel to you that Bharara's got bigger fish to fry. He's not going to stop here at Prococo, right?
To Dominic's point, the governor and Prococo were at the hip. If you look at the decisions made
saw
by
this
state,
firsthand, right?
oh sure, wherever he was, there was Joe, and if the governor was happy with you, Joe would talk to you. If the governor wasn't happy, Joe would give you the cold shoulder. He was. Now think of all the state decisions that had to be made as a result of this. All the final contracts, all the things that were pulled back by a certain number of government agencies. There is a lot here which may not go to the issue of enrichment personally, but there's stuff going on here. And
we're talking a lot of money. They call it Buffalo Billies for a reason here.
Yep.
All right, coming up next, police killings of black men in Charlotte and Tulsa, leading to violence, arrests here, and still ongoing protests. But as scenes like these become more and more common, what lessons can we learn from the case of Amadou Diallo? Believe it or not, it's 17 years since he was killed by the police in the Bronx. Well, Dominic sat down with Diallo's mother for a fascinating conversation. We'll have that straight ahead.